Hey, check. So apparently I talk to cameras now. So somebody has asked about how I do my patches and how I connect things around and why and how and what happens. So today I will try to show you how I just literally fuck around and what happens. I don't really have any specific ideas in mind today, but I just want to show you how I might take some decisions and how I patch and something first or after. So again, this is the first time I'm trying to do this, so please be patient. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the first problem to solve is about control. So what I have here are just two voices and a filter. Hopefully you can see it. Another two filters, but I usually use the ripples as the voice. So I have just two voices. So how do we work with that? The idea usually is to try to build as much complexity as possible with distortions and effects and modulation. Okay, so usually the first thing I do is to put the two voices together somehow. So this was just to test. So maybe I can connect the BIA to the waiver just to have some control over the levels, because the problem with these two is that these outputs +5 -5 volts and this one outputs +10, so this is the double. So this is a bit of a pain in the ass for me, but we'll get around it. Okay, so I connect the manis to the waiver. And from here, just to demonstrate, I can use the distortion because I have patched the vortices here to the output and I have some reverb going on in parallel. So just to show you what happens is I have control over the voice, hopefully you can see this. And then I have the control over the level of the BIA. So you can hear it is much lower. Okay, so this is almost parity. So as you can hear, the waiver already is working a lot for us. So at this point I might add some triggers. For triggers, I hopefully have available the night scallop, so I can patch it right now. So I have triggers. Okay. And just to make it a bit more interesting, I can modulate something. Let's use the voltage block. I can modulate the level. I really liked it in this position. It kind of cuts the level up and down, and you can play with levels on the edge of 0, like this. This is fun. Maybe less reverb. So the advantage of the waiver is that I can also use the same voltage to control the other voice in the opposite or the same way. be fun. I can duplicate this to have two different rhythms. Let's speed up this a bit. We can play on the edge of the zero, or we can offset. Okay, so let's add a trigger also to the manis. And we can also modulate the distortion level of the waver, for example, with this one. And we can also do this with an LFO. This is fun already. Okay, so now I feel that I miss some weight, and I feel like I want to compress this stuff. So let me show you the effect of the autodyne on this kind of patch. Okay, so I'm gonna change this one. So from the waver to the autodyne to the vortices, which is not doing much right now. So okay, let me patch this. Okay, I have a massive amount of distortion going on, but still. Also adding some modulation on the level. This is interesting already. I still feel like the volume is too low for some reason. So let me add the non-compressed version to the vortices. Or maybe we can also add it to the 100 grid to see some real volume change. Okay, this is a bit more intense now. So the way is to, the idea is to juggle the importance of the first voice and the second, because once you distort it, you can't really see the difference, because they kind of become the same thing. So I usually try to use this idea to my advantage to build a unit, a single thing out of the patch. So the idea is just to have not 1, 2, 3 voices, because this is also a thing I often hear in a lot of people that do modular. They just have different things going around and they are not really talking between themselves, so they just feel like three lines, not really coherent. My idea with the distortion is just to glue everything together to give you this idea that everything is just this complex thing. So this is also the idea I try to push forward in my patches, to build this complex sound that you don't really see the beginning and the end of. Okay, so what can we do here? I kinda like this. Still too slow. As you can see, I'm not really using the ES9 to its full potential. I have no computer here. I actually started thinking about using the ES9 as a way to have a lot of modules without spending a lot of money. And that was useful at first, but now I'm not really using the computer, so just a bit of advice. If you feel like having fun without the computer, just do it. There is no shame. I use this when I go out and play live and I have the need to maybe spend some time building a chain on the computer just to process the modular. And I don't really use it when I'm just fucking around like here. It's also fine. I feel like one can feel that you spend a lot of money and you don't really use the gear. I'm trying to make peace with the fact that some gear just is being used once in a while, and that's fine as well. So just a bit of advice there. Okay, so this patch is not really that much interesting, so I feel like I want to add something to it, and I want to play with the stereo. So the point is, the idea is that before before this module I didn't really have any way to introduce stereo in my patches because I only had a mimeophone, and that was always on the end of the chain, so I had no way to process that. But this module, man, this is really interesting. So this is the first module that can modulate and pan my audio, and I thought that panning was lame and stupid and just too much money. But there is some place for stereo, and this is the only module that I found I was really happy about having some stereo capabilities, because you can take in some input and you can modulate it audio rate. So that was the moment at which I said, oh wow, this can really work for me, because if you're panning stuff with modulation, with like slow stuff left and right, and that's boring for me. But audio rate, man, this can become really interesting, because you can introduce a sound via panning. So let me show you this effect. Okay, so I have maybe a semi-static sound going on. So this is mono right now, okay? So let me add a processed version of this sound, a delayed version, and use that signal to pan this current signal. So we'll have the panning going around audio rate. Can you hear it? So you have to use headphones or a good stereo speakers. But as you can hear, the sound is going around. And I'm not really doing anything, I'm just processing it. And this is really cool. This module allows it, and I'm super happy about this. And you can mess it up even more. Works better with longer sounds. So this is nothing. This is a good amount. And you can also hear the kick. The delayed kick is sounding in the stereo, but there is no mixing, but I'm audio rate modulating the panning, so you can actually hear the delayed kick, so this is really fun. So I like this idea of having an envelope here, so I think I'm going to add it just by adding a random trigger from the voltage block to a channel on the Zether with a simple envelope. Bit more voltage. Not bad. Again, with no stereo. A bit boring. With delay in stereo. Release that now, so I'm going to cut it away. And sorry, again I can add the delay back. So this is the mix that is modulating the panning, but I can also add to the delay to the audio itself. So I don't really know what this is going to sound like. Let's hear it. Okay, so you can hear more of the delayed, crunchy, flangy stuff, obviously. This is working really well with this effect. They are both kind of flanges. this kind of broken and destroyed and lo-fi sounds is really the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Again, this is a patch built in like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and I don't see the clock, but the idea is that you can have these simple sources, and you have clever ways of combining them, and this allows you to keep your rack small and have a lot of fun, because you don't really you can still remember what are the relationships in your rack, and what are the things to play with. So the basic idea here is just to keep the rack small, have clever modules, patch them around in interesting ways, build this body of sound, and try to really focus on this idea of building a whole thing, not just different separate voices. Also, obviously distortion can help you a lot, because it just fucks everything around and meshes things together. Compressors are really useful. Way too few compressors in Eurorack. Really hope more manufacturers can really appreciate the importance of compressors, because we really need them, and there are way too few. I'm actually thinking about how I can fit another one of these in my rack. Not really, there isn't really any space for it, but I'm trying to find a way, because this compresses a bit, this also compresses a bit, but you have to push it really hard, and it starts to mess with frequencies, dynamics, but it is not really controllable as much as this is. So this is fun, this is also fun, but in different ways. And okay, so this is kind of the mindset of building my patches. Obviously this is still simple, not really performable, not as to the level I would like it to, because here I can literally just play with levels or frequencies or parameters here, and in a performance I would really like to have some ways of playing with feedback more, and not in this patch I'm not really exploring feedback. I'm planning of making another video in which I talk especially about feedback, so stay tuned for that, subscribe for that. Hopefully this is hopefully you did have a little peek on my process. This is the first video of this kind, so again I hope to get better at this, to also hear your feedback. What do you think about me speaking to cameras? Because I kinda like about the thing that I just show my music, my process and experience, and I've seen that people are enjoying the idea of showing more of the explanatory part. So let me know what you think, and I think we'll see each other again. Thank you, and bye bye.